Okay, so in this problem, what we're looking for is we are going to be graphing a parabola. We know it's a quadratic. We know it'll make a parabola. But what we're looking for now is where is the middle of this going to be? I mentioned to you earlier it's not 0 anymore. So we are going to set up an XY table again. Go ahead and draw your XY table. We are going to plug in 5 points. And remembering from yesterday, we really want this to have symmetry. One side should look like the other. Here's our problem. We did not see anything yesterday that looked like this, with a piece in the middle. We didn't have B yesterday. We had A, we had C, we didn't have B. Having a number there for B is what makes this whole parabola shift left or right. It shifts the center of the parabola. So we have to find where that center is now. And we're going to use our formula. So the center of this, the axis of symmetry, we'll call it the AOS, axis of symmetry, is that formula, negative B over 2A. Now, as I said before, this is a very easy example, basic example. Let's plug in the numbers we have here. So what number do we have for B? Negative 6. And I'm glad you said negative, because that negative sign is going to make a big difference. So I'm going to plug this in. In the formula, it said negative B. Well, if I'm going to plug in a negative, what's negative negative 6? Positive. So I'm going to write it down as positive 6. And then for A, what number do I have for A? A 1. Good. Remember, it's not there. It's invisible. It's a 1. Okay, so I have it here, which means that I have 6 over 2 times 1, which would be 2. So what's this going to give me at the end? 3. Okay? Pretty painless. But what does that number mean? What do we do with it? Does anyone have an idea of what I'm going to do with this number? I mentioned a few things about what it's going to look like in the graph, but does anyone have an idea what I'm going to do with it in my table? Got a few ideas. Katie, what do you got? Absolutely. Yesterday I told you everything was going to have 0 in the middle, but today we have to be checking for it. 3 will go in the middle, which means that if I'm going to build my XY table around this, if 3 is in the middle, I'm going to use 2 and 1. I'm going to use 4 and 5. From here, everything else is exactly the same as we did yesterday. You are now going to take each and every one of these points and plug them in. One of these points is going to be very, very important to us when we're done. For right now, though, what I would like all of you to do is go ahead and take a moment to fill in the rest of this table. Plug in the 1, plug in the 2, plug in the 3, the 4, the 5 into our equation. And I'll show you how to set up the first one because it does look a little bit different. If I'm going to plug in a 1, this is 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 4. You'll notice I'm plugging the 1 in for both of the x's. So go ahead and work those out, fill in the table, and once we're done with those, we'll go ahead and look at what this means for our graph.